Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Eternal X Wolfpack Paranormal Podcast. Tonight we have Angie and Shane McLean from Outer Realm Paranormal, and this will be Shane's second time around and Angie's first time being on here. So we're going to welcome them on. And if you guys got anything or any questions, feel free to ask, and we'll answer them live as well. So let me bring on Shane and Angie. Hey
Hey,
guys.
hey. Round two, round one for this one.
It's all good. I mean, last time I think she said she wasn't feeling good, and
Yeah,
we said we'd have you guys back on again. So
that's good. Well, it's always good to be here, man. The last podcast we had was a phenomenal one. Like I rewatched it, and that's probably one of the better podcasts that we've done.
It was amazing.
yeah, it's always really nice to have you guys on, and the conversation's always really well, and some of the topics we get into is pretty good as well. So
I know.
we've got your logo running across the bottom. This is where you can find them. And I've got comments up. For some reason here lately, we've been getting a lot of people watching the show afterwards. So that's good too. So either way, it's all good. So how you guys been?
We're good, man. Just living every day. Just trying to make today better than yesterday, and trying to make tomorrow better than today. So,
Yep.
But that's all we can do, right?
That's very true. It's very true. I mean, like I said, this week's been pretty busy for me. I've been helping some people do some stuff, and I've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes for the team and the show here and getting things scheduled. And I think I'm booked clear up until the end of July, and we've got some investigations coming up with Eternal Paranormal.
Nice.
Awesome.
That'll be coming up in July now. I just seen the date. I wrote it down here a little while ago, and I can't even remember it. But it'll be coming up in July. We're going to do the Rock Island YMCA, I guess.
Nice.
So I'll be looking forward to joining them and a couple of my teammates as well. So
did you say Rock Island YMCA?
Yeah.
Is it now? Is that how long has that place been shut down?
I'm not positive. This will be the first time I've been there. So I know those guys have been a few times, I think, and this will be the first time I've been there. I know they do some expos there too, if I remember right. So,
yeah, I'd like to check out that place too. I've heard a lot of teams go there and get some really good evidence there. So I'm sure you will too.
Well, we don't have a whole lot of places to investigate here in Beaufort, South Carolina. So.
Well, we do, but the issue, the Civil War started here. All right. So in Charleston is where the Civil War started. So there's a lot of historic history with the Civil War around here. But the problem is that this is in the middle of the Bible Belt right through here. So a lot of people are closed off when you speak paranormal stuff and stuff like that. And a lot of these people, they'll have stuff going on, but they don't tell anybody about it. They won't let you know. But I'm still doing residentials. I'm still doing cleansings. We just did one for a paranormal society out of Savannah. They went twice to this family's house. Brought a priest and 2 demonologists, and they couldn't get rid of what it was. And they called me, and I went in and we did the investigation, her and I, and we got there at 6:15. We left at 11:30, and I've still got messages on there to where his house is completely cleansed.
Well, the client came in and actually confronted the spirit, and he told him, "I'm not scared of you anymore. You got to go." And
that's actually one of the key factors is when you get the client to actually come in and acknowledge him and say, "Hey, I'm done with this." So
That's part of the education behind it too. Just equipping them, and I do that during the interview, and I'm like, listen, you have to have will and you have to have faith behind this, or this isn't going to work. And what I think happened before is they were getting bits and pieces of a story, and they weren't able to put it together. Well, when I got home, I took all our spirit box sessions, the Estes method, and I found out names and stuff like that. So I took and put a whole category together, and I actually found the human guy that actually came through. And his name was Franklin Henry. He died in 1973. And I found out that he died off a train that blew up by a propane.
Wow.
And it was literally a quarter mile away from Shane's house in 1973. He was 28 years old. Then I got to looking real close, and I saw the picture of Franklin Henry. And if you took the glasses off of him, he looked identical to Shane, the client. So
Wow.
we were able to find out all that information.
He was jealous.
Yep. He was jealous. He was envious because he was 28. He lost his family. He wasn't able to be around his family. A propane leak came onto the train and it killed him and 7 other people. So at 28 years old, 1973, he was extremely envious that I mean, you can imagine when Shane's standing there looking in the mirror and Franklin is sitting there looking behind him, they look just alike.
Yeah.
So what he was jealous of the life he had because Shane's able to have his wife, has his children, has his house, has everything, and he was trying to live in the footsteps of Shane, and Shane confronted him, and we closed off everything in the house. And right at the very end, I closed off everything. I use holy water, holy oil, frankincense. I mean, I use a bunch of prayers, and I get to the very end, and I open the door, and before I seal off the door, I'm not even kidding you, I felt this cold breeze just walk past me like this, walk past me. I sealed the door, shut the door. Then I went out in the yard and I buried a Benedict coin into the yard, poured holy water on top of that, and sealed it. And he has been entity free for
Nothing.
a while now.
So we're just looking, anybody who needs any kind of help, you're too shy to, or you think it's dumb or whatever, or too ashamed, reach out to us. We are not scared. We will go help you, seriously. Yep. And we love doing it.
Yep. My wife is a healer. My wife is a healer, and I'm a licensed and ordained minister, and I specialize in spiritual warfare and demonology. So we come with a lot of experience, and her connection that she has with healing and with prayer is phenomenal because she helps with the families, with the adjustment of without that entity on, and comforting the family and making sure that healing actually starts when we leave.
Right. I think that's a great thing you guys do, because that's one of the things I emphasize with our team too. We want to be able to help people to understand what's going on there and make sure they're aware of all the things they know and the options. And
Right.
we've christened the ground too, and have great results with that. And we've done that quite a bit in a few cases. One of the very first cases I ever went on, I seen a shaman take a attachment away from a little boy. And it was like you were talking about. The attachment wanted to be the little boy because he wanted to relive his life.
Yeah.
And he had such a bad life when he was growing up as a kid, he was going to do with this boy. And when I first pulled up to the residence, I was watching this little boy walk up and down. I shouldn't say little, he was 12, but he would walk up the street. All of a sudden he would stop like he's confused, like he was going somewhere. He'd turn around and go back the other way, walk down the street, do the same thing again. It's like that spirit was wanting him to do something. And then he decided, no, I'm not doing this. So, I mean, I knew right off the bat things wasn't right at the time.
Right.
So, but yeah, I actually seen a shaman take that attachment away from him. And actually, the guy that did that the first night I've ever been on in the investigation with the old team is the guy that's actually been showing me shaman classes. So that's really cool. So I've been doing that
Yep.
for a little over almost a year now. So,
and that's great.
That's
Like
great.
being a demonologist and stuff like that. You know, we look at shaman. We look at, you know, how Islam, how Hinduism, how Buddhism. You know,
mm,
you know, whether it's a demon or a humanistic spirit. You know, there is a way to confront and deal with each one, and
exactly.
you can do it accordingly. You know, what works for me, you know, what works for me might not work for someone else, but what they use works for them. Like for instance, I use frankincense because I have a theological way. I have an Adamaic and Abrahamic, you know, way of like confronting entities, human and non-human. So it's a very theological way. So I use frankincense, which is from the Old Testament, on the altar of incense because it was found pleasing to God. So I use that. What I don't use is I don't use sage,
Some people do.
and a lot of people do use sage. But the cases that I've been on, the cases that I found is when they try to use sage, the energy and the environment that they have actually gets more hostile, gets worse
I have seen
because
that. Yes.
I don't think they use it the right way. They're not a Native American, you know. They don't have a. They're not cleansing. They're not properly cleansing and clearing the right way, and they expect sage to be that miracle thing that when they do it, and what it really does is it just kind of pisses the entity off.
Yeah.
It's like okay, well, you want to let me show you what I'm going to do, and it becomes
Right.
worse. So we approach things different, but we respect all religions
Yeah.
and how they deal with it because it takes an army of us to deal with this because churches don't want to deal with this anymore. You know,
Right.
they don't want to deal with this. You know, so you know you go into a church and tell them that you have an entity issue right there, and they'll say, oh, we'll pray for you. Well, sometimes prayer is amazing. Don't get me wrong.
Mhm.
But sometimes it takes actions. Faith without works is dead. That's in the
Right.
Bible. So instead of talking about it, you know, I wanted to do something about it. So I specialize, and I'm not Catholic. I'm not Catholic, but I use war beads, which is rosary.
Hmm.
I use certain terms that the Catholics use, but I'm not Catholic. But I
Right.
respect it. I respect it because they're the Christian religion that actually stepped forward and took on what exorcisms and demonology really is. So, but I've studied the shamanistic. I've seen how all that works, and I know with a shaman, I know that they use sage, right?
Yeah, we do on occasion. Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
If it
But
works for you,
I've also been taught, you know, like you said, some things work for others that don't work for
yeah,
that's
other
right.
people as well. And you know, he one thing he told me, he says, once you find something that works for you, use it. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter where it came from. It's the
yeah,
fact is if it works for you. So
yep,
if you mix your book, if you mix your book of I was going to say your arsenal to combat what you need, it's better than not having anything at all. Because then you
yeah,
can pull from every type because you're learning from everything and understanding it's not just one sided and you don't have
yeah.
anything to pull from if you run into a situation you can't handle. So that's a good thing as well. So
Yeah, like some people we've talked to, they actually use a Ouija board to connect with the spirits, and that's how they cleanse. And I don't personally, we won't touch them after the experiences that we had with the Ouija board. I will never touch it again.
I don't know if you heard. I don't know if I told you or you heard it the last time, but she's got a very interesting story. You know, with
Very real.
with the Ouija board, and we're not saying anything against people
No,
that use them, but when we confront the issue, I have found more people have had a problem than anything good that came out of it. Whether they didn't close it, whether they didn't open it right, whether they thought they were communicating with something but they opened up
Right.
something else. I mean, I found that. But listen to what happened to her, and this is a main reason why I never trust or deal with a Ouija board.
And something followed me for a very long time after this, because I didn't realize at 15 years old that you're supposed to open it up a certain way and close it. So it was never closed.
Right.
But basically, it was December 11th of 1999. My best friend at the time, we were playing the Ouija board, and her mom came out. She was like, "Oh, this thing's really fake." Da da da. She's like, "If this thing is really real, ask it how much longer I have to live." And she laughed, and we're like, "Okay, we didn't know we're not supposed to ask those questions."
Right.
We asked, "How long is mom gonna live?" And it spelled out 3 months. And we're like, "Yeah, right. Her mom was healthy. Everything was great." March 8th of 2000, which is 3 days short of 3 months, her mom died, and they could not find a reason why.
Oh, wow.
So and we never closed the board. So I had something following me for a very long time, and nothing seemed to ever go right in my life. And we actually prayed it not that long ago, prayed it away and closed it. So things have actually gotten better after that. But I personally, I will never, ever, ever, I don't even want to be around it because of the experience that I had.
Right.
I mean, her mom was healthy. There's no reason why she should have passed away 3 days before the 3-month mark, and they couldn't find a reason why. So I firmly believe that,
I said it's definitely odd the way it happened, especially with the 3 month,
Yeah.
3 days before.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I feel just strongly that it was probably, she's like, "Oh, the spirits probably like, oh, you want to mock us? Let me show you."
Right.
And they could have made it happen. Right. So, but I'm not downing anybody who has played the board. He does play the board. Right. I'll still be your best friend. I'll still love you forever. That's just not my preference, and I won't touch it.
Yeah, and I won't either. No. I can't do that. I had my own experience that I won't get it, but I had a pretty bad experience. But we did close it out. But it was the disposing of it is what I had to be very careful, because a fire with mine didn't even take care of the Ouija board. It actually showed back up in my room. So I just
watched it burn.
I don't trust them. But I do know people that use those as a form of spirit communication, which, like I said, if it works for you, then that's great. That's great. I would never say anything against you. It's just, like I said, if it works for you, it works for you, but it does not work for her and I. We use a very theological approach. And I'm sorry if you see the cat's butt right there. I'm sorry.
Spicy pipes.
Yeah, Guardian sometimes hops up here, and you'll see his head pop through the virtual background screen. So,
oh, your cat?
No, I've got a dog. He's a Great Pyrenees. He's about 115 pounds and about 5.5 foot tall on his hind legs. So he likes to jump up once in a while, and he'll stick his shoulder up here or his head up here and pop his head in.
I'm here. Yeah.
I work with dogs for a living, so I see them all. Great Pyrenees are probably a very even-tempered dog. Very sweet. They think that they're small.
Yeah, I wish that he would learn to stop chewing on some things. He's about 1 year and 6 months old right now.
He's still in that puppy phase, kind of.
Yeah, so I mean, today he got a hold of my headset for my laptop here, and it fell down, and I didn't notice the plate come off my earpiece. So then I happened to turn around, and he's happened to chewing on the piece that goes to my ear, and I'm like,
he said because you didn't involve him in your podcast.
Exactly. He wanted the other earpiece up to his ear.
Yeah, he's actually laying down sleeping right now, but he does pretty good here lately. But he listens, but he's still in that puppy stage still. But yeah. So yeah, when I've came across Ouija boards, like I said, I've seen good with them and I've seen bad with them. Yeah. And I know certain people that have used them that, how do I say, doesn't really close them out the way they're supposed to. And it does bring some stuff to them, and they don't get it. Like I said, it works different for everybody. But Like it's unreal when some people just don't listen. I mean, you can lead a horse to water, you can't make him drink, and
Yeah.
Right.
it's
Right.
hard sometimes. I mean, especially when you go to help them and then they keep wondering why nothing's working, and then
Right.
you give your advice of why things are, and they still just keep doing it the old way. So there's a time you just got to cut them off and just like, okay, this is all I can do because, you're not listening. So,
yeah, exactly.
but
You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make
that.
him drink.
I was just about to say that.
yeah.
Remember when we did the reading
Mhm.
the last time we were doing we were just messaging
Later
about it.
Later on the night on the first one.
Yeah,
With
when
me,
your friend was
Pam,
on there, Pam.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was on there, and remember, I don't know if you remember, but she was talking about, do you and Shane finish each other's sentences? I'm like, dude, I'll think of something and he'll say it, or we'll say something at the exact same time. We've been together for 15 years, so we are like one person into two bodies.
Very insane.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So Shane, you happened to mention something here a little while ago, and I think we kind of discussed this before the last time. Why do you think the churches keep shying away from helping people with paranormal issues?
Fear. You know, you have people growing up and they're like, well, they have this concept that when you pass away, that you go right to heaven and you're in front of God. Well, the Bible doesn't say that. In Thessalonians, it says that the dead in Christ will rise first. So where are they rising from? They're rising from the grave. So we do have spirits, and when you have churches that have a fear of dealing with something like that, it's because they're ill equipped.
Yeah.
They read Ephesians 6 and they go about the spiritual warfare that Paul talks about in Ephesians in 6, and that's all they do. And I saw that. I saw that young. I saw it going through, and I was like, this is bad, because somebody could be really dealing with an entity, and the church will look at them and say, oh, that's demonic, or that's severe mental illness.
Yeah.
And so I try to eliminate all the steps. I'll never claim demonic right off. If somebody says, oh, I've got a demon, that's going to have to proven to me, because out of the cases that I've done, 1% of what I've done has been a demonic case.
Yeah.
I agree. I've come across some pretty, how do I say, ornery style that would actually like to throw their weight around with a little bit, but not, how do I say, full 100% demonic. Like you said, it's rare that a demonic would actually come up unless something major happened in that location,
right,
or something super traumatizing happened to that person in their life, or they've been carrying something with them.
Yeah.
But I definitely agree with that. Demonic is pretty rare, but you do get on occasion some stubborn ones. So that's definitely true for that.
Well, no, there's some behavioristics, some behavior tactics that even entities use that will make you believe that it's somewhat demonic. Well, here's the key thing: if you're good in life, you're good in death. If you're bad in life, you're bad in death. If you're evil in life, you're evil in death. So we have to weigh out all those. And honestly, if someone has more than a couple weeks, going through, and it starts going into 6, 7, 8 months, and they're telling me it's demonic,
yeah,
I really doubt that, because a demon is looking to not stay where it is. A demon's looking to get in and destroy what God created inside of you.
Yep.
Right.
So there's manifestation, infestation, oppression, and possession. And then we found in the past year or so that there's actually past possession is called obsession. we found that people are getting exercised and their body and mind is feeling like they're lacking something and they want that back, and they actually invite the demon back, and it's an obsession. So yeah, but like I said, there's 1% of those that are like that, and usually we can find a very direct answer, why you're affected with the infestation.
Yeah.
Right.
Just make sure their mental health is right.
Right.
Everything.
I think one of the things we've come across on an investigation before, and when they're kids' spirits, and they'll say right off the bat, "I'm a demon,"
Yep.
or leave right off the bat. I mean, they're trying to invoke fear in you, so you'll leave. And the more you sit and listen, and the more you correspond with them, you start realizing they're kids just trying to throw their weight around when they're younger, or the spirit the way it is. It's like, okay, we're just gonna scare you guys, and we ain't leaving. So it's interesting when you start coming across that as well, because that's the first thing they'll always say, demonic. And it was like, okay.
Demonic,
Teenager,
devil, evil.
Yep, right off the bat. And it's just like they're definitely wanting to scare you. I've noticed some of the bad times that I've had, they won't even say anything until you start getting closer to certain keys that you found out. And then they'll start saying certain things that you pick up on. It's like, whoa, okay, this is possibly what we could be dealing with and how we're going to have to deal with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy. Yeah,
Well, tell you the truth, that demon, a real demonic spirit, knows more about you right then than you know about them.
Use all your flaws and your faults against you, all your fears, everything. You can't show fear, and that's just a natural instinct. So it kind of wins a lot.
Yeah. I think what benefits me the most is, I've been through my Menaki rites, and when I went through them, it shows that I've got the markings of the dark and the light. So that means, it's a good thing I can kind of focus either way. And I use that to my advantage because, like you said, there's sometimes you fight fire with fire, and then you actually do as other. So I think it comes across really good. And even over the Ovilus, it's come across there that they don't even like me standing in the same room. They want me to leave. And then when I leave, they actually get more interaction because of the things that I'm capable of doing with them. They just don't want me there. So I think that's a good thing. And I've been trying to teach the rest of my team some of the stuff that I know. So when that comes across, it's not just going to be me they're going to say that to. It's going to be the rest of the team when we walk in.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, okay. So any one of us would be able to take the situation. And one thing I like to do a lot is I like to do a lot of energy work.
Yeah.
And one of the new teammates, one of our first investigations we had is we cleared off a residential area from spirits. And 3 of us that did energy work, we sat down in a circle and we started focusing and pushing all the negative energy off that property. And you could feel it, and one of the guys says, I'm not standing in this corner anymore because I feel all that pressure from what we were pushing out. He said, stand in the opposite side of whatever you guys are going to do, because he just said it felt so heavy that it was like, this is crazy, And then we turned around and we christened the ground, and they've never had an issue with it since. And
that's great. That's great.
And the good spirits, I should say, have come back. Her relatives, she definitely knows they're back because they're joking and things that she can understand now instead of things that's not right or the bad feeling. It's all been positive since, but it took a good almost 2 months for them to even show back up. But there's no negative on there at all. We closed all the portals down on that property. We christened the ground and everything because, like I said, there was some definitely bad stuff on there.
Yeah.
I mean, we found there was an incident that actually happened on the ground, and we went in there and did a mini investigation, me and the my teammate, and it came over the Ovilus that there was a letter, and we actually found the letter of what happened the night in question in a book she didn't know anything about. It was in her house, and we found the letter that described exactly what happened in there, and that's why we ended up going in there,
Wow.
Wow.
taking it out. So, but
That's really cool.
It's amazing. It's amazing what you can really get when you're paying attention and you do your homework behind your investigation and you listen to what the entity is saying, even if it's bunched up, you put it all together.
Sounds like a
Mhm.
puzzle.
And yeah, and it's like a puzzle. It's like investigation is like the outline of the puzzle.
Yeah.
As paranormalists, we're putting the rest of the pieces into that puzzle. And until it's complete, then it's still going to be an unfinished puzzle. And I've also found I've done a lot of cleansings that where teams have already been in, and I really think that to take on residentials, you have to have some kind of will and drive and education, behind what you're doing. You can't go in there and just stir up spirits and then leave the client, in limbo. And believe it or not, there's teams that do that even today.
yeah, I've seen people go in there and actually provoke spirits.
Make it worse.
Yeah, stir it up.
Yeah, and that I'm not a part of. I'm not going to do that. I've seen it happen. I pulled the attachments out of a few of my ex teammates, and they just keep not understanding. Don't do that. You go in there with some respect and learn and understand and focus on what's there, and solve what's going on there for the people. Not sit there and invoke that spirit.
Yeah.
Hello, Victor.
Hey, Vic, what's happening?
But yeah, I've done that on many occasions, taking attachments away from my former teammates. I've also learned, and I'm sure you guys know this as well, the higher your energy is, they won't attack you as bad.
Yeah.
It's when you get your energy so low,
Yeah.
they start coming across and claiming yourself, claiming you as theirs. And then they'll start wreaking havoc with you. As long as your energy's high, they seem to kind of shy away from people that do that.
When you start concentrating more on the level of energy that entity has instead of the level of energy you have to utilize your energy, that becomes a problem because then it drains you even faster.
Yep. I definitely will agree with that. Thanks for sharing out, Victor.
Yeah, thanks, Vic.
Thank you.
But yeah, it's great when you're able to help out people. I mean, one of the other things we had too as well, we had an elderly lady. It was in her late 80s, and she called us to come to her house. And I got there before the rest of the team, and I knocked on the door, and she's a nervous wreck. And I'm like, "You all right?" And she said, "I've just been worried all day that you're going to find something bad in this house." And I'm like, "Just be calm." I said, "You'll be fine. Everything will be good." And I sat down and had a little talk with her. And when you walk into a house, you can pick up this feeling. Me being the empath I am, when you walk in there, you can definitely tell if there's something bad there right off the bat.
Yeah.
Right.
But this house had this calmness to it. It's like kind of a warmness to it. And I said, "Just calm, and we'll check out everything, and we'll listen to everything you got to say." And the team come in, we set up, we started doing our stuff, and she was watching all the scanners and stuff we were putting up and the grids, and we finally got it where we were starting to get a reaction out of the back room of her house. And like you said, they were starting to say demonic, demon, trying to scare you. And I'm like, okay, this is not making a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So then my team was in there focusing on what they could get, and I went down and sat with the lady, and we were sitting there talking, and she kept hearing the obelisk go off. She goes, "Is that them coming over the box?" And I was like, "Yeah." She said, Can I go check this out? Can I talk to them?" And I was like, "Well, of course." And she stood up, and I grabbed a hold of her arm because she had a walker, and we walked back to the back room. And she goes, "Hello." And it goes, "Old."
It said what?
It said old.
Oh, old.
Yeah, old. And she goes, "I'm not that old, and that's rude." And then he kind of heard this hit come over the obelisk. So then definitely by then we already knew they were kids.
Oh.
And she was like, sit there, and she kept listening, and we would get positive reaction or positive answers for what we were asking at the time. And she thought that was kind of cool. So we walked back into the kitchen, and team was finishing up. And she goes, "Sean, what are you going to do with those two little kids?" And I said, "Well, we can let them go, get them off the property, or they can stay." And she goes, "Well," she got to thinking, she goes, "Well, they can stay if they like." And I said, "Well, if they're going to stay, you got to remember one thing. All these little bumps you're hearing with the pans and the doors and these little knocks, it's kids wanting attention.
Yeah.
They're looking up to you as kind of like probably being a grandma figure."
Yeah.
And she goes, "I never thought of that." And I was like, one thing you could do every day if you're just going to let them stay, I said, open up a child's book and read it to them.
Yeah.
Or play some music every day. And she goes, "Sean," she says, "I do play music every day. Every day at noon, I play music all the time." And I said, "Well, that's a good thing. Kids like to listen to music and stuff." So we sat there for a while, and the team wrapped up, and we sat down and talked with her. And she said, "Well, I'm going to let them stay." She says, "I've got your number on my refrigerator." She says, "I'll let everybody know that you did a good job, and if anybody needs help, that I'm going to recommend you." And I said, "Okay, thank you." And she says, "But if those kids start causing problems, I'm going to call you." And I was like, "Okay." So I let it go for about a week. And I actually went and knocked on her door, and I said, "Well, how things going?" She said, "Things have been going great." She says, "I know what they are. I understand what's going on here." She said, "And I was so worried that I was going to end up having to sell my house, but now I'm going to keep it."
That's awesome.
And to be able to do something like that for an elderly woman and let her understand what's going on in her house, and then for her to understand what is going on there.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
It was a great feeling to be able to help her out, And I mean, she gave all the team a hug, and and wished us the best. And like I said, I kind of stopped by every once in a while, and no problems. So, but
cool.
we didn't have to do anything elaborate to get rid of them because they were just little kids,
Right.
They just want attention. So sometimes those little knocks you hear, or little tings, or little glances out of the corner of your eye, or giggles you hear, it's just kids wanting attention,
That's right.
So now Guardian's acting up. But yeah, so I thought that was a really good thing that we did for her. So, and yeah, she was going to sell her house until we came. So, but she ends up keeping it, and she understands what's going on. So that's a really good thing.
Well, if she would have left it, then someone else who moved in would get them probably, unless he followed, and then they'd be miserable because his family is freaking out, and they wouldn't understand.
Right. And like you said, some people don't even want to talk or communicate that they even got anything going on because people think you're crazy.
Yeah.
So that also leads me back to another question. When you have some handicapped people or mentally disabled people, and I think you and I both know sometimes their third eye is wide open because of their situations. How do you guys go about doing that?
What with mental health?
Yeah.
Well, you look a lot of the history of that person. That's what interviewing is so very important, because I mean, if they're already seeing a therapist, if they already on mental health, are they on or off their medication, or if they haven't seen, have they ever thought, and then you listen to them, and you see the sequence of things that are happening, and you could definitely tell the difference in between having mental health. And a lot of people think schizophrenia and stuff like that is, well, now you can take somebody with schizophrenia and their actions will look demonic.
Yeah.
I agree.
So you have to really be careful, because paranormal teams will go out there and they'll drop the D word on them real quick. Okay. Oh yeah, he's spatting with anger. He's punching walls. He's stabby. He's threatening to kill. It's a demon. It's a demon. Not necessarily right. There could be a cry out for help right there that you're not catching. So,
hello, Aaron Wing.
Huh?
Oh, we have Aaron Wing that appeared, and I was just saying hello to him.
Hello.
Hey, Aaron, he's our co-director.
That's our co-director.
Aaron is freaking amazing.
We'll have him on too.
Yeah.
On round 3. We'll get Aaron on.
Yeah, he's amazing.
That sounds good. We'll definitely have round 3. But yeah, I've ran across when I was at a young age somebody that had schizophrenic, because I used to work in a handicap house or a mentally disabled house, for people that's not able to take care of themselves. And I was told not to look into this guy's eyes because he would just go off on you. Well, he would come out to me one day and he's like, can I go get a pop out of the garage? Because the pop machine for him was out in the garage. And I was like, yeah, sure. So I gave him the key and I watched him, and he walked out there and he grabbed a pop and come back and handed me the case and goes, thank you. And I'd look him straight in the eyes every time. I never, ever had a problem with him. But the first day I had the interview at that place, he picked up a chair, was slamming it on the floor and busting them all over the place. Like, yeah, it looked like a wrestling zone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. But, I think most of the time they want you to treat them as an individual and, like they are just like you, and not treat them any different. And that helps a lot when it comes across people like that. It's not their fault. So.
Yeah, because you take somebody with mental illness and you start dropping the D word on them, oh, this is demonic, then they'll start believing and really acting it, because a mentally challenged mental health, if you tell them that it's demonic, that what they're doing is evil and stuff like that, then that's all they're going to think. They're going to say everything I do is evil.
Yeah.
So let's just be that. And it takes a lot of coaching, a lot of therapy, and a lot of things like that, because you start dropping the D word on people and they do have a mental health issue, it can actually cause it to be a lot worse with their mental health.
Yeah, most definitely. And even I've noticed as well, side effects from medicine, and people not understanding the medicine that they take and the side effects it causes, with some hallucination and, lack of sleep. And it all contributes to what they perceive. So you've got to look at it that way as well. So, and I don't think a lot of people really dig into that situation as well.
Yeah.
So,
because a lot of people don't know how, they're not equipped to deal with it. I went to Bible college, and a lot of that was behavioral psychology, behavior, just reactions off behavior, and you start learning a lot more of mental illness and what causes mental illness some behavior characteristics behind it. So you know the signs to look for that are around the area. But again, not everybody wants to jump in and think, okay, yeah, I'll do this residential, and they make things worse for them. And I wish people, if you don't know exactly what you're doing, please, people, leave it alone. Don't make it worse for people. Don't make families regret you being in their house. You know,
Right.
be there to help them, be there to soothe them, be there to help them understand what's going on, whether it's mental illness or it's a spiritual battle. You'll know the difference. You'll know the difference.
Yeah, I like I said, it's great when you can go in and help people understand what's going on there. And then, like
Yeah.
you said, you've got people that go in there, and I don't know if this is a good way of saying it, but some things, sometimes I think it's some of these teams that I've ran across that's done this is more energy hungry and
Oh
wanting
yeah,
to learn how it's done to benefit them
yep,
instead of help the people. And I don't think that's good at all. You know, I think it's great when paranormal teams join together. Like, you know, you've offered help if I need it, and I vice versa.
Yeah.
That we can actually exchange information, not worry about the consequences, and be able to understand something if we've come across something that one of us may have came across, the other one hasn't, so we can actually take care of the problem. And I think that's great when teams can work together and do that.
Yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then you've got teams that keep all this information.
Yeah.
They won't share anything. And they just, it's like, okay, we know more than you because we've already come across this, or you wouldn't be asking us. That's not the point. The point is to share the information so that everybody can understand. So when we do come across things, we can help the people. So I think that's the best thing to do. Like I said, para-unity, I know you guys are big on that, you know.
Oh yeah.
And like I said, I agree with it. I hope a lot of people do that. It would be great if we all could just band together and work together,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it would make things a lot easier in some cases. Because then if we got all that information piled up, then we can dissect it.
Yeah.
And then start learning possibly even more than what we know now. And
Yeah.
some people don't, and some
Somebody's
people
gonna
don't.
see something else that you don't see.
Right, right. And remember we talked about it last time. Perception is reality. You know, so and a lot of people don't understand that concept. You know, you bring evidence to some people and they want to try to debunk it instead of looking. But you got to remember something. Perception is reality. So if I see things one way, no matter what you say or feel about it, is not going to change. It's just going to make me more separating from you because you don't see things the way that I do, and that's the total opposite of what unity is.
Right.
And there's some really good long-term people that I'm very good friends with that are actually leaving this field because of the nonsense that's going on. Guys, we need to band together. Para-unity equals para-family equals para-community. And in order for us to be a family, we have to get along like a family.
Yeah.
In order for us to have a community, we have to be a family driven. So let's keep what being a paranormal investigator or paranormalist or demonologist, let's keep to what that is and what it means to you, not what someone else is doing. Because if you start worrying about someone else, then it takes away from what you're doing because you're so concentrating on what someone else is doing
Yeah.
Right.
that you lose track on what you're doing.
I definitely agree with that. And like you said, perception is the key to a lot of things because
Yeah.
I could be looking at a picture and I could actually see something in a picture and I could show it to you and you not see the same thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And you know, that's just the difference on how we see and perceive things. There's nothing wrong with it, but to find out the answers, you know, work together.
Yep.
Try to, okay, you see this. Why are we seeing this? You know, like you said, you may see a different side of things than I do. Doesn't mean you're right or I'm right. But
That's right.
Exactly.
That's
like I
right.
said, you gotta figure it out and come together.
That's it.
And
And Aaron, our co-director, he's an elementalist.
Yeah.
So he goes and he takes pictures in the woods and stuff. And a lot of times he'll pick something up that's in there and he'll be like, well, what do you see? And then it'll take us a lot of time, but he can literally look at the picture and be like, there's this, 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 this. So I respect him being an elementalist because, you know, even though I don't see something on there, he does, and his perception is his reality. And then once you see it from his point of view, then you can see it there.
You can't unsee it.
Right.
Right there.
it'll start, how do I say, coming upon you where you're able to see it. Because I've also noticed people that hang together or work together, things start crossing over between the two of them.
Yeah.
And things start to form as one, as a team, and form better because now you're understanding what someone sees and vice versa.
Yeah.
Because like I said, you see things different. So is it Aaron that's the elementalist? Is that right? Aaron? Is that what you said? So when he sees things in pictures, does he see it in energy form?
Yes. Yeah. He picks up on the energy. He picks up energy in pictures, taking the pictures. When he's out there, he picks up on a lot of the energy that's out there, whether it's good, bad, you know.
The tree spirit was the coolest.
Yeah. He actually has a picture of a tree spirit, and you have to look closely, but I mean, you can definitely see a tree. And I saw it on there, and I debunk everything obvious first.
Yeah.
And so when I tried to debunk everything, I tried to look. I tried to, because I don't want to believe that there's something there when I like to believe what I see, because seeing is believing, and I like to, and I'll never call him out, you know, or think that it's not there. But when he said, "Look here," and I looked here, and I saw it, it became clear as day, and I saw it, and I was like, "Wow, man!" And I mean, he's able to take those pictures, and he's able to see it, and he's able to relate, see exactly what it is, and it's amazing because that's a gift that I don't have. You know, it's like my wife's a healer. You know, I know doctors that would want the gift that she has because they go to medical school for, 15, 20 years to be able to fix somebody through medicine and everything, when she has a natural born gift of healing that is unexplainable. And that's the same way that Aaron is as an elementalist. And that's why we love him so much, because
he's family to us.
He's extremely talented. He's extremely intelligent. He's got a good head on his shoulders, and
he's an awesome co-director.
Yeah,
he is there 100%. He's amazing.
I can actually relate with Aaron and Angie because I actually see energy as a form. I don't actually see a full apparition. I've seen few, but otherwise I see energy in certain locations. So I understand exactly what Aaron sees, but I also understand Angie's too, because one of the things we did in class one time is we had somebody come up and lay down in front of us, and we would actually have energy. And it's part of the being a Reiki, you go across their body and actually you feel where the energy is different in their body.
Wow.
And you keep going around and you find these spots. So then after we found the spots, and then the people would verify if we were right or wrong. And we found out some had broken knees before, they've had smashed knuckles or certain, because your body energy actually changes in the locations you've been injured before.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So I definitely understand that. Also, I was dating a lady that passed away a year ago last March. And I actually turned around when she was sitting in the chair and I could actually see a black spot in the middle of her stomach.
Mm.
Come to find out, she had a 5 millimeter cancerous tumor down there in that area wrapped around her intestines. But yeah, you can definitely pick up on a lot of things with the Reiki, is what I call it, the energy, because I like working with energy. And also, like I said, elementals. One of the things that, like I said, when I went through my Menaki rites as well, I've got a lot of symbols when I was going through those stages of things that I have markings for. And one of them was the 4 elements. So that's a benefit for me as well. And one was a healer. I haven't really messed a lot with the healing part of it, but healer was one of them. But I like to mess with the energy and the Reiki and understand the energy it's around, because I can take my hand and put it like here in front of me, and I can actually feel the energy shift around my hand.
Wow.
And if I walk up on somebody, you can actually tell if their energy is bad or good. You can actually.
Wow. Yeah. That's good.
So
I would love that.
But yeah, so that's a benefit. And 2 other of my teammates are able to do the same thing.
Wow.
I kind of handpicked them out, and I've been mentoring them. And we've got a couple of Wiccans on the team, so I can understand the witch side of stuff, because I actually got a marking from going back into my past lives with the Irish and the Celtic.
That's me too.
But yeah, and the Druids. So the Druids, you may carry magic from the Druids, and energy from the Druids as well. So I've got, like I said, a lot of different markings that I haven't even scratched the surface on with yet.
Wow. So, Steve commenting.
I have seen auras before. You know, I picked up on different colors of auras just because of their body energy. Yeah. I don't really get into doing a lot of aura readings, but I do know what some of the colors mean. So
I can see that I think it was Aaron is commenting, but I can't. It's too small.
Yeah, that was Aaron's comment, along with readings, energy. Do you also read auras? That was Aaron's comment. And then the one before Aaron had was mental health is a huge, having to figure, especially when it comes from paranormal stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Aaron's very knowledgeable.
How often do you guys run into clients that actually manifest the situation sometimes, and they don't even realize it?
Manifest it like an allegor, like where they take a situation and they manifest. I have found that I've seen people that 15 years ago, 20 years ago, they played with a Ouija board and they never closed it out, and then they run into a situation and they start manifesting different behaviors and things of that nature, and I've seen it create what they call an allegory. And to be honest with you, I'd rather deal with a demonic spirit than an allegory, because you have to break down each and every one of the categories behind what manifested that entity.
Yeah.
And it makes it extremely dangerous. It's dangerous not only for the client, but it's dangerous for the family. It's dangerous for you to going across, and you have to make sure that you are on point when you're dealing with the allegory, because it can take your energy and your behaviors and turn them against you. And they're really bad. But I've seen that quite a few times, to where there's a manifested spirit, and they look non-human, they look demonic, they look evil, they look bad, because the people change, and And I mean, it does. It gets so I ran into them quite a few times, but everything that I've run into, everything is workable.
Yeah.
You know, I don't ever say that I can't handle anything because, you know, in the Bible, it says, "Greater is He that's in you than he that's in this world," and it also says that no weapon formed against you shall prosper. So I don't care what they throw in front of me, because I know what's inside of me, and I know that my will, my faith, and my drive is beyond what I'm dealing with,
Yep.
and I'm able to step in and persevere even through situation of manifested spirits too.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm kind of like you as that way. You know, I kind of like that challenge in dissecting things until I find out exactly what it is. And it takes a lot. I haven't walked away from anything yet at this point, and hopefully I never will have to. There's always a first sometimes, but in this case, like I said, you know, you dissect it and you deal with it appropriately, you know, and you'll be fine. And as for Aaron's question here, I was not really meaning actual reading the aura, but seeing it along with energy. Yeah, and certain people, yeah, I can pick that up really easy from time to time
Mm.
if I kind of concentrate on it. I try to stay out of other people's business. I don't like bringing some of their stuff onto me.
Yeah.
I like to have my own energy unless I invite them into my energy field. But yeah, sometimes bad energy getting connected with your energy and getting entangled with it
Oh
is
yeah,
kind of a pain in the ass to get rid of sometimes, if
you
especially
have to
depending.
be grounded. You have to be cleansed.
Protected.
You have to be protected and ready to deal with situations, because the same way that you want to get rid of something for somebody, that thing wants to get rid of you.
Yeah.
Like every case that I've gone into, the entity knows that
Yeah.
I'm coming.
Yeah.
Went through a hairbrush across the room.
Yep. As soon as I got off the phone with one of my clients, and it was a nurse in dialysis for me. As soon as we got off the phone and she was telling me what was going on, her door handles in her house started all rattling at the same time, and a hairbrush flew across, smacked the wall behind her.
Yeah.
Because it knew I was coming.
It messed with our 4-year-old daughter really bad, so we were very prompt about that one. We had to.
Have you ever, or either one of you, had dreams of the location that you were going to before you ever got there?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
actually, when you got there,
Yeah.
it is accurate.
Yeah, it was our last one actually. He had a dream about the house. We had no idea where we were even going. He had a dream about the house, and he knew it was on like a corner. He knew what the house looked like, and it was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like his guides were preparing him. We've had that happen to us before on a case when we went to Joliet, and that was an interesting night as well. Never been there before, but you knew what was there when you got there.
Right. Right.
Well,
Right.
he has visions and premonitions.
Yeah, I get it. I get things before they happen. So, and I've had that way since I was a kid, and my ears will start ringing, and I go into almost a dream state for a few seconds, and I see glimpses of things, but it's never good. It's never been good. It's always something that's bad that's about to happen, and it's happened my whole life with my mother, with my aunts, with my wife, with my nurses at dialysis. I had one, um, and it's always like a warning. So,
And he has to tell them.
and I have to tell them, or my anxiety will flare so bad that that I feel like that if I don't tell them, that their lives could drastically be like messed with, or if not die from it.
His premonitions and visions have saved my life more than a handful of times. And when he told me about it, I was extra careful, but exactly what he saw and what he told me was like coming to happen. And I realized that because I was paying attention.
I mean, within minutes.
Yeah.
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 So he's got precognitive. Yeah, that I've
That's
come
crazy.
across that as well. It's always good to have that because your guides are protecting you and watching over you, and they want to make sure you succeed. That's always a good thing. Some people don't understand that when people see that, and then, like you said, you tell them, and they just ignore it, and then it happens anyway. I know we're not supposed to tell people their future because it will change their destiny and alter their
Right.
everything, and then it will have repercussions on ourselves. So I know not to do that, but things like that when you're dealing with it, it's a little different than telling them something you see of them in the future as well. Yeah, I don't like it when sometimes people come up and says, "Can you tell me about this?" And I was like, "No, I'm not going to. I'm not going to alter your future or my future at all because you're not supposed to know it."
Right.
So that's one of the main things I always do because that's not cool when you find that out because then when you change their destiny, it's a whole different situation.
Exactly.
So, but yeah. But yeah, that's really cool. I'm glad there's other teams like our team
Yeah.
and your team that actually can communicate with each other and share information and go to each other if we need help. And that's always great. I like seeing
I'll
teams do
absolutely help you whenever, if you ever need anything like that, I'll absolutely be able to help you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And that goes the same for you as well.
Thank you.
Something
Thank you.
that you
It's
don't
like,
understand or something, holler out.
well, that's like people, like that have their own teams and stuff. Go on Outer Realms Paranormal, our team, and go ahead and post your link for your page, for your group, or whatever. We are here to help each other grow. If I grow, if
You
you grow,
grow.
I grow, we
If
grow.
I grow, we
We
grow.
all grow.
So we're all about para unity.
Yeah, like I said, I appreciate that. Um, what is the worst scenario you've ever crossed so far being in the paranormal field?
The worst scenario? Oh,
What has actually happened?
yeah, a black-eyed child.
I was just about to say that.
The ones you're
A
not supposed to.
black-eyed
A
child
black-eyed child come to the door.
at like 2:45 in the morning. It I had a window right next to the door, and a knock came 3 times, and I looked out, and this little girl, white shirt, cut jeans, whatever, had hair in front of the face, just looked
It's
dirty,
horribly
just standing there looking down like this. And so I turned back around and I looked, and all of a sudden she looked up, and every bit of her eyes were jet black. And that's the worst thing you could do is open the door for a black-eyed child.
Oh yeah,
And I turned to tell my friend, and I was like, come here, look at this girl. And by the time he got over there, she was gone. And here's the thing, the house that I was at had a field in the back. So if you go to the left, right, forward, anywhere, you would see someone walking away. There was no one there. There were no footsteps where the mud was. There was nothing. It was like she was never there. And that literally would scare me, because when you hear of black orbs and stuff like that, when people, you're not supposed to be around black orbs. You're not allowed them to touch you, because if you do, like, bad things will happen. And that's what a black-eyed child will do. It will wreak havoc on your life, and that's one of the scariest ones for me.
if I understand the black-eyed children, as soon as you open the door and you allow them to come in, is when things
Yeah,
start. If I'm correct, and
wreaking
then
havoc.
yeah, and then they just chaos begins. I've never really experienced any one of those, but I mean, I've heard stories about them and I've read about them, and they're definitely interesting. Like I said, I've
Oh yeah,
never.
because you hear other people having issues with them, and 95% of investigators that I know have never ran into one, and I just happened to be one that really did run into them. And I wasn't as deep into paranormal as I am now, but I was into paranormal, and I believed it. I was wholehearted about it, but to see that with your own eyes when you're standing and literally the thing is 4 feet away from you from the window to the front door, and she looks up like this with nappy, long, wet hair, and her entire eye on the inside were jet black.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
can't even look at a picture of a black-eyed child. I start getting chills.
Yeah.
I won't even look at a picture.
There's
of them.
nothing good that comes from a
No.
black-eyed child.
No.
Right. There's a lot. I mean, what they've been through has been a lot of tragedy and a lot of really bad stuff for them.
Or
to be
unprovoked death and provoked deaths. Like if they died suddenly, if they died from a murder or something like that, you know, they can come back for revenge.
Yeah.
Right. Most definitely. Some of our investigations, well, not with the new team I got with the older team that I was on, we've had where you've looked at a window and we've seen impressions of lizard type looking people on the windows. So I've seen that happen before. I've seen things attached to certain things like objects. And before I was knowledgeable about this, one of the things that we come across was a stuffed horse and it had a lot of energy. A stuffed animal. It was a horse.
Okay.
And had a lot of energy coming off of it. And it was in this location, actually the same location that the little boy was at my first investigation. Well, we end up burning it. And when we burned it over the ovulus, it was cussing like a storm, calling us every name in the book and demonic and everything else. And that's the first time I've ever heard something like that happen.
Wow.
And it was attached to that stuffed animal on that location. And we've come across doll heads that have a lot of energy that are like really creepy.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, one of the doll heads, or one of the dolls we actually came across, was one that a lady grew up with when she was a kid. And we asked her if she ever had any issues with it. She goes, no. But when you took an EMF detector to it and walked up next to it, we were getting energy readings off it. And it's not even electronic. It's one of those old porcelain types, half stuff with a porcelain head. Yeah, there was energy coming off that doll.
Magnetic frequencies. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you would change your lenses in your camera, and you could see the different colors of energy actually coming out of that doll. So,
yeah, I had a horror story when I was 10 years old about a porcelain doll. The same girl I played the Ouija board with, she had stuff following her whole life. We were 10 years old, and she gave me this porcelain doll for my birthday. And I get the doll, and I'm already kind of creeped out by him. Well, I'm sitting there looking at her and everything. Well, later on that night, my mom, she said, what is wrong with your doll? I was like, what are you talking about? She said, now the doll, when she smiles, she had teeth. When I got the doll, her mouth was closed. And then later on that night, she had teeth. Wow. Not real teeth, of course, but like porcelain. It was creepiest thing ever. So I can't do porcelain dolls anymore.
Well, how about that Japanese doll? How about that Japanese doll that's in the temple? I can't remember the name of it, but it has been through numerous families. It's locked in a case right now.
Yeah.
But it has wreaked havoc on people's lives, and the hair actually grows. There's human hair that's attached to it, and teeth have grown into its mouth.
Yeah.
And they actually had a camera where you can see a tooth coming in like this, and you can see it going down. And that is a very, very, very evil, malevolent doll. And every family that's had it, like when they got it, the family that first got it, it was in a store, and they got it. They were in a horrific car wreck and killed everybody. And so they brought the doll to the same place where it came, and it kept going. So they finally got wind of it, and a lot of the monks grabbed it, and they sealed it, which is a really good thing, and it's sealed in a glass case. So if you go to, I believe, Nagasaki, Japan, there's a temple there, and that's where the doll is, and you could actually see it and
No, thank you.
and you can see the hair long. I mean, it looks humanistic hair. There's no
Wow.
plastic to it. It's really crazy looking,
No, thank you.
and to have something like that is extremely dangerous. And if you're not prepared to deal with things like that, I wouldn't suggest having a haunted item, because if you don't know how to tame and ground it and make
Right.
sure that it
Keep it
doesn't
closed.
keep it closed, then it can absolutely wreak havoc on your life.
In my luck, it would jump in. It would jump and follow me.
Yeah, it would push her down in the bathtub.
It probably would.
Yeah. That's kind of like the sailor doll. I don't remember the doll's name. But they said
In
if you
St.
don't-
Augustine, in Robert.
yeah,
Yeah.
Robert. Yeah, if you don't ask permission to take a picture or something like
Yeah.
that, you die not long after, or you get ill.
Yep.
Yeah, I've read about him. That's pretty interesting.
I've read
And-
some of the letters that people have wrote that they have to apologize to Robert.
Yeah,
And
I think
a lot, yeah, and they got him hung up. They come from all over the world. People that have seen Robert, and they don't take it seriously,
Yeah.
and bad stuff happens, and then all of a sudden they write an apology letter, and it gets stung up, and they actually read it to Robert, and then all the bad stuff that was happening to him actually stopped.
right. Hello, Eternal Paranormal.
Hello, hello, hello.
That's Alicia and
They post on our page too.
Yep, that's Alicia and Derek. I'll be teaming up with them in July
Sweet.
to the Rock Island YMCA.
YMCA. Yep.
That's awesome.
I'll be teaming up with them in July. Annabelle.
Oh yeah.
Now we know the movie version's not the real
No.
looking Annabelle. We all
No.
know it's Raggedy Ann looking.
Yep.
I've seen some people do podcasts about her, and some believe it's a lot of hype, and some people don't. What do you think
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah.
Do you believe it's more hype or?
Well, there's only been one person that has literally died, from the Annabelle, and it was a guy that went into the museum, and he was riding a motorcycle, and he tapped the glass, and he said, "You ain't that bad," and said, "I don't believe in what you're doing," and he actually touched Annabelle, and he went headfirst into a tree, and he actually died. But that's only been one person that's died.
So, what do you think in general, as in objects? Do you think that the people that own them know or feel that something's in them once in a while and maybe agitates them more? Or do you think sometimes, my perception is, some people put things in them?
Yep. A lot of energy is transferable. So, and a lot of people, even upon death, if they're an evil person, it can be transferred into a dog. And that's why, like, a lot of times, people that are in the haunted items, they go to thrift stores and stuff like that. They look, and they actually have, they bring energy things to see where energy is coming from, with those dolls, so they can grab hold of them and actually work with them and use them. Now that takes a special kind of person, because I wouldn't suggest anybody to go to like Goodwill or anything like that and just go get some creepy doll over there and then bring it back to your house and just think that it's okay. Because then when you start having stuff happen around your house, then you start singling, knowing that that doll had something to do with it. And I just
I actually had a former teammate that actually had haunted dolls in her car. And we happened to be out at a cemetery and trying to figure out some of the things that was going on out there. Because one of the things we heard out there was dogs whimpering. And we couldn't figure out where the dogs were whimpering from. And there's no dogs around in that area. But anyway, by the end of the night, we started walking up to our cars, and the cops were there, and they were looking through everybody's car. and they seen all these haunted dolls in the back of this teammate's car. And then all of a sudden, he's seen us coming up the hill with all of our equipment and stuff, and seen our shirts, and he's like, "I don't want nothing to do with you guys. Just pack your stuff up and leave. Just go, just go." You know,
a quick way to get out of a ticket.
yeah. But then we offered to let him have one. One of the ladies that offered him, well, you can check them out. Nope, don't want nothing to do with them.
Yeah, they're not for everybody.
But yeah, I'll never forget that one. But we didn't see the sign, and when it was supposed to be late, and like I said, we could start going in on the investigation, trying to solve some of the stuff that people's actually heard there, and it was getting pretty late, and then the cops ended up showing up, and it's like, just get your stuff, get out of here. Don't want nothing to do with you. So that was a good deal. But yeah, so yeah, that's one of the things when I go to a residential house is asked, have they ever picked up anything from a secondhand store, or have something given to them, or they've inherited something, and start looking into that as well, because that, like you said, does carry energy from location to location.
Yeah, absolutely.
And people does not realize that as well. So
yeah, people have a hard time believing that there's transferable energy like that, and there absolutely is transferable energy. You know, that's where you get a lot of generational curses from, a lot of lingering spirits, a lot of residual spirits and stuff like that, you know, because they can manifest and be transferred into just about anything. So you have to be diligent in asking those questions and seeing if it really is coming from that, and you know, like what happened before that thing got there and what's happened after, and then you can start piecing things together.
So another question would be, do you like knowing more about the location before you go into it, or actually going in and finding what you find out to match what has come up?
Well, I always do an interview when I get there. I pre-interview over the phone, but I spend about an hour and a half interviewing before I even start the investigation. So I have a good idea, a good base around it. Like I said, you know, it's putting the edge of that puzzle together. You know, and so once I have that, then I can start fitting the pieces of that puzzle in and do investigating and things like that. But as far as like a location, um, it's good to know the history behind it, because a lot of historical markers when it comes to knowing about the historicals of a location are good trigger points.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's music, whether it's you know, not everybody knows in, you know, the 1800s what a flashlight was, but they know the term torch.
Yeah.
You know, things like that. So I mean, if you're really diligent and you study the locations that you're going, then you could have a way better and more beneficial investigation than not knowing anything at all.
You can go into a location just, you know, to see what you can get. You get this evidence, and then you get home and you research it, and it matches.
Yeah, then it shows up.
Yeah,
names,
that's pretty cool.
Names.
That's what I like to do.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's what I like to do, because I try not to be influenced as much before I go in, because I'd like to put the pieces together and then sit back, look at what we got, and then start looking up some of it, because then, okay, this is what we got prior to what has been documented. So now we know what we're messing with. That's kind of the way I like to do things. But like I said, everybody's a little different, which is good.
Yeah.
So,
or either or.
Yeah, we respect both ways. You know, whether now here's another key. Like if I take a medium with me and I have a medium there, like I won't say anything about the history behind it, not even where we're going, and I let them go first. They go into the area first, and then if they come back, then I'll compare what they tell me with the history that I already know, and then add that to the investigation, and that is just that's not a coincidence anymore.
Right.
It's really there.
That's confirming exactly what you read or whatever, and then they're picking up as well, which is finding the key elements to resolving the issue.
Yeah.
Alicia or Derek, is that the one that we had on video when we were on the old team together? Because they had a doll we had a video of, and we were getting a lot of responses from the REM pod on. So
What did they say?
they actually have a haunted doll.
Oh,
And,
wow. Okay.
yeah,
Braver than
and
me.
if it's the one that I'm thinking of, it's when me and Alicia was on the same team, and they actually have video of the REM pod going off around this doll.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it was
cat
nothing
balls.
bad.
Cat balls are good for haunted items too.
Yeah. It wasn't nothing bad, but I think they linked it to a little girl that was actually in that doll, if I remember right. And they were going to help because we were figuring out what was wrong with it when it started responding. And I think they linked it to a little girl, if I remember right. It's been a while, and if it's the same one. But they were going to help her cross over, or if she was going to stay or not. But it was a cool little doll. I mean, to me, it wasn't really scary, but the fact is, it did give a lot of responses that night.
Perception is reality.
Yeah. So, trying to think of anything else you want to cover, or is there anything else that you'd like to cover?
We've been on a lot longer than the first one.
Well, that's all right. We can
That's
go.
good. I enjoy it. We enjoy it.
We can go a half hour longer. It doesn't bother me. I mean, whatever people would like to talk about, but like I said,
I'm probably gonna have to step out because the dogs are really needing to go outside. But you continue to talk to Shane, and I'll come right back.
right. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
I think I had a podcast one time with Mr. David Jarvis.
Okay.
And we were talking about transferring energy into objects and how that was done somewhat. We didn't go into detail on how it was done, but some people, like I said, don't really believe in that, but it is actually possible. That's why we kind of had that podcast that night. Haunted dolls. Yes, a haunted doll is very much so. I mean, there's energy that comes from a particular person or a spirit that will enter it, or even a location that actually has enough energy to get inside of it, and you will get readings from it. So sometimes I don't like to give out a super lot of information about how to do that on podcasts because I don't know if young kids are watching it, and I don't really want them to understand how that's working. I don't need a bunch of kids coming around making voodoo dolls. So, but yeah, that would not be good. But yeah, it's definitely possible. It's definitely a thing. So another thing, I'm sure Michael guards over you very well, right?
Yes.
He's one of your protectors, like he's around me as well. And how does he come across to you when you see him?
Just strength and protection. See, like this necklace that I'm wearing, that necklace that I'm wearing is the seal of the archangels.
Mm-hmm.
So I utilize a lot of the seal of the archangels. And I've got a picture, and it's of the earth. And it's like when people wonder if you have protection, and then going all the way around are thousands and thousands of angels that are watching over you. And that could happen between, I believe my grandmother watches over me, because after my grandmother passed away, that's when I started getting those premonitions and visions.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew there was a lot going on there, and I know she still watches after me. But I use a lot of the prayer of Saint Michael. I use Benedict, in my cleansings, and it is very beneficial because You know, I've got a shirt back there that says "Fear no evil," and it's a picture. It's got a steel cross right here, and then on the back is the picture of Saint Michael stepping on the head of Satan, and it says "Fear no evil." And that's a perfect visual of the power that you have when you utilize that the right way.
When I first saw Michael appear to me, he was very powerful, very strong. He has the armor that's very unique, and he carried the sword that he carries with him along with his shield.
Yep.
Um, and it was really uncanny. And I don't know if you've seen this or not, but the look that I seen was similar to the statue they found overseas not long ago
Oh wow.
that they've uncovered, and he's kneeled down with his sword standing in front of it. You know, it's like it looks like the Archangel Michael is what it visions to me when he showed up to me, and with that shield and that sword. And they actually uncovered that, and I can't remember the exact location, but there's been pictures on the internet of the statue they found, and it's really unique. That's how I perceived him when I seen him.
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
Yep.
there's been some things that I've had dreams about that have been authenticated by certain people that's been talking here lately of some of the Egyptian stuff that I've learned in
Yeah.
some of my dreams, and how that's all related as well. And I think that's pretty unique as well, because like I said, I've learned prior, and now I'm just getting verification of all of it being
Yeah.
what it was. So that's really good as well.
I had an interesting dream, you know, when I was in Bible college and I was getting ready to, solidify being a demonologist. I had a dream that I was at a white picket fence and I was walking down the white picket fence, and on this side was Satan and all his demons, and on the side that I was on was God and all his angels. And I remember I yelled across to Satan. I was like, "See, I'm on God's side." And then Satan turned and he looked at me and he says, "But I own the fence." So I knew right then. I'm like, faith without works is dead. So, I mean, if you think that you've got it all together, you know, he's a manipulator. He is the author of deception. So I mean, when you think you're safe and you're on this side of the fence, and you think that fence, because it's behind you, you have to be one step ahead of that, because Satan is very cunning. And just like you being on God's side, you know if you don't have the will, the faith, the action, and everything put behind it, he does own the fence, and which could jeopardize you in the long run too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One of the things after I got baptized the second time, I was having dreams really bad. And this is before, I mean, I was always kind of into the paranormal since I've been 21. And the incident with my grandma, like you said, you started having visions when your grandma passed away.
Mm-hmm.
I did as well. When my grandma passed away is when I started having mine, like at the age of 21. But by the time of 24 come around and I got baptized and got married, I was having visions all the time. And one of the visions I had, I was standing in the middle of the desert in front of a door that looked like a castle, like 10 foot tall, 12 foot tall, a castle door. And it had this chain going across it. And that's all it was sitting there. It wasn't the castle. It was just the door
In the middle of the desert.
in the middle of the desert.
Well,
And then when I looked up in the sky, I would see storms, lightning bolts. I would see archangels falling out of the sky, planes falling out of the sky. I would see tanks on the ground getting destroyed. And it was just a chaotic mess. And I'm standing right in front of this door. And one of the things is I heard when I was standing in front of the door, and I'm the only one there, it says, whatever you do, do not let anything come out of this door.
Mm.
And I'm like, okay. And it just made me wonder. And I've had friends that were preachers at the time explain to me that I had a dream about a time slip, because during this dream, I'd wake up and then all of a sudden time would be the same. And I'd go back and the dream would pick up again.
Wow.
And it just kept doing that until it ended. So somebody explained to me it was a time slip that I was seeing of something coming. And I was dreaming of dreams of young men, of things of yet to come. I think that's kind of how it was said. Kind of the prophet. So some of that kind of freaked me out a little bit. And that's when I kind of shied away from stuff. I also seen a devil actually lean over the side of a building and look at me. He says, "Where's your God now?"
Yeah. Yep.
Just straight to my face.
Yep.
Wow.
I've had a friend that had a really bad night one night. That was one of the preachers that I was hanging around with at the time. He worked at a location, and I seen him the next morning. I said, "Did you have a bad night?" And he goes, "Yeah." I said, "Were you at work?" And he goes, "Yeah." I said, "You walked out the back door, right?" "Yeah." I said, "Is there a carport back there where you can park like 3 or 4 cars in the back?" And he goes, "Well, yeah." He said, "Were you somewhere close by?" I said, "No," but I said, "I seen through your eyes a demon dog on top of that roof asking you where your God was."
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
And like I said, he explained some stuff to me at that time, and I thought that was pretty interesting. And even
Yeah.
during the 9/11 times, I would have dreams of our troops being in the desert and caves collapsing.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I've had some premonitions as well.
Yeah.
But so I can understand why people get freaked out about it. And then finally, when I first joined the paranormal team, my old team, I started acknowledging things and accepting things and taking on what was given. And so
Right.
far, it's been turning out a lot better than ignoring it. So, and like I said,
Right.
to give the people the understanding of things that's going on around them and seeing their eyes and helping them out is always a good thing to me. So,
Exactly. If you want to look at a really good book when it's talking about hell and lake of fire and like what hell looks like, I read a book in Bible college called A Divine Revelation of Hell by Mary Kay Baxter, and she actually got took into the pits of hell, and Jesus was walking with her, and it said it was shaped like a human body, and she was going through, and you can see pits that were in there with souls going up, going back through the pits, and right at the very end, Jesus lets her hand go, and the demons grabbed her and threw her into a cell, and she says that her feet were burning so bad that she couldn't see her feet, and the stench became bad, and that the demons were running up, and they were like, "Where's your God now?" And then right at the end, where she felt like she was about to die, Jesus actually reached in and grabbed her and pulled her out, and he said, "Now I want you to go tell everybody what you've seen, what you've experienced, and so you can warn the world about what's here."
I one of the things that I've seen is the darkness and how dark it can get, and walking through, how do I say, places that look like there's just bones scattered all over the place. Um, but I've come to learn, you know, you've got to embrace your fear, to overcome it. Because if you
Yep.
don't, and they feed off of you, and people don't understand that as well. But yeah, I've seen a lot of strange stuff in my life, and it's interesting.
It is. It's very interesting.
And like I said, everybody has their own perception of things and
Yep.
how they perceive things, and even just to sit and listen to them, so you can understand. Like I said, nobody ever has a wrong answer,
No, no.
and what they
Perception
tell.
is reality, and you have to take what everybody else believes and what you believe, and just kind of, it's kind of like there's my truth, there's your truth, then there's the real truth.
Mhm.
So it's not up to you to tell somebody that they're wrong for believing or seeing something. That has nothing to do with you, because if you see it, then you have a conversation that you agree with them. But then if you don't, then you go have a conversation with everybody else about, oh, that's fake evidence, and then that turns people against people. And
Right.
I cannot get in with that. I won't get in with that. And I just see it happening too much. Even to this day, I see it happening every day.
I do agree with that. Like I said, it's when somebody tells you something, it's from their perspective, and it's a learning process.
Yep.
And how you perceive it, how you take it, and how you work with it determines how it's going to become. And you just can't tell somebody they're wrong, because if they've experienced it, you know, like I said, everybody's different. So
Just because your perception is your reality doesn't mean it's someone else's perception and their reality. And you can't force your reality on somebody to change their perspective. So the best thing for you to do is to be able to listen, take note, just listen to what they say, and really keep it an open mind about it, because there's a reason why that person believes that they either see something or have something or do something. There's a reason behind it. And there's no sense in trying to belittle and make that person feel. That's why if you look at a lot of teams today, they don't post evidence anymore because of being shut down by other people,
yeah,
other teams going around. And I mean, they actually have pages of debunkers that they look at the paranormal things and they go through, and that's all they do. They look for things wrong in there to disprove what we're doing. And it's sad because it throws people off. Like, teams don't like to share evidence anymore. They don't post a lot of evidence because of all the slack that they get put behind it, and what people say and do. And it's wrong. Guys, we're all in this together. There's no perfect remedy behind this. So I mean, what works for me works for me. What works for you works for you. That doesn't mean what you do is better or what I do is better, but we can see eye to eye on one thing. And that's because we are trying to find answers to this paranormal that is not scientifically proven. So until it is, we need to be able to get along, because we are the voice behind paranormal investigating. And if our voice is tearing somebody down or tearing teams down or disproving somebody because of the evidence that they have, what good are we doing in this community?
very true. Very, very true. It's just like the deal here. I'm going to go back to Aaron here for a second. Your colleague, he says he can see the auras and stuff and the energy and stuff. I mean, his ability and my ability are probably similar, and he sees things different than I do. And I'm not going to complain either way, because, like I said, that would be an instance of how he sees things and how I see things. Doesn't mean either one of us is wrong, but it's a learning curve, because now we both know that we can do this, and we've got common ground to start understanding things better too. So
Yeah, there's really no sense in all this bickering and backstabbing that's going on. There's no point in it. I mean, if I just I don't see anything good coming out of it. If you don't believe that someone has evidence, then keep that to you, and just know that if they show something else with evidence, that you look at it twice as hard. That you see if something's there. There's no sense in posting it to all these other teams and saying, "Oh, these people are putting fake evidence out there." Do you think they're going to show you anything else that they got? And they may have some solid, solidified evidence that they're not going to put because of how they're treated.
Right.
Well,
Or
a lot
even
of teams are just quiet. They just leave the field a lot.
right. Yeah, that's one thing I've told this team: stay out of the drama. I don't want it. I don't want it on my doorstep. You know, we're here to help people and to understand what's going on and to learn. I'm not into the drama,
That's it.
and that's one of the reasons why I formed a new team is because some of the drama. But
We are all a work in progress.
oh yeah, I mean
We are
nobody's
perfectly imperfect people.
right. I mean nobody's perfect, and like I said, we all learn from each other, and
Yep.
that's a good thing. And some people don't understand that. I think when people start understanding, when we form together and learn and understand certain things, we would get along a lot better.
That's exactly right.
So it kind of brings me to a thing that I've read, and I think it's over by Italy or Spain or somewhere in that region. I read an article about they were getting invaded at one time, and the people banded together on the mountains. And the next thing you know, the ships that were coming into port were sinking. The people were collapsing that was coming aboard on the ground and stuff. But it was all because all these people banded together and they started doing a chant or a hum, or their spiritual protection is what they were doing to protect their land.
Yeah.
And it was stopping them from coming onto their land and taking over. And it worked pretty effective. And we all are one person actually together when we do it
Yeah.
as one. So, but I always thought that story was really interesting.
There's strength in numbers, man. If we unify with each other and, we concentrate on building this community instead of tearing it down, then we could outshine the bunkers that are coming in, because no matter what they say, it's not going to sway us either way, because our perception is our reality.
Right. Very much so. Well, guys, it's almost been 2 hours.
Yep.
It's been a great podcast. I
It
love
has.
talking to you guys. I always learn something new when I talk with you guys.
And we're the same with you.
And I always think that's great. That's one of the reasons I really like this doing the podcast. Is, when you speak with other people, you learn new things and open up a little bit, and then people start understanding certain things, and it gets us out there to be able to help people as well. So
Yep,
that's
absolutely.
really good benefit for all of us. Is there anything you'd like to shout out before we close out the show?
Just shout out to everybody that's been watching. We appreciate you, your comments, everything that you're doing. Keep at it. Check out Outer Realms Paranormal. We love to have you on there. Share your teams. Come on and talk with one of us. We would love to talk to you. The Paranormal Society of Savannah, that's a real great one, and I really enjoy those people too, and they have a heart for doing things like we're doing too. So, between the society and Outer Realms and Eternal X Wolfpack, I believe that we're putting a dent with this para-unity here, and we're wanting to step forward and being the change that we want to see. So let's keep that momentum going. Let's keep it so we can truly bring the definition of para-unity to the forefront, so that we become a para-family and para-family into para-community. So just check us out, guys. We want you to be here. We want you to be around. So check out all our pages and just be there with us and enjoy the ride.
Shout out to Aaron Wing for being the best co-director.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll have him on sometime.
Can't ask for a better co-director than that guy.
Yeah, we'll definitely have round 3, and coming up in a few months we'll schedule something and have round 3.
Oh,
like
yeah.
I said, it's definitely good talking with you guys, and there's a lot of information bounced around. But yeah, I definitely like it when you guys come on the show, because like I said, I learned, and I pick up new things.
We like being on your show.
So. It was a great first round for me.
Yeah,
great first round. So we'll be 3 and
we've been getting distracted by all our animals. They had to go out, then the cats want to come up. This little baby needed attention.
Yeah. Actually, mine is sleeping around the counter. He came up and said hi to me a little while ago. He's sleeping on the other side of the island here, but he's on the floor sleeping. But yeah, I definitely like this. Maybe you can have a podcast one night where we can just merge and have a round table.
Yeah.
Get a few other people.
Absolutely.
And just have an open chat, and whatever comes up at random, we can do that one night too. So
yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
We'd like to do another one of those readings whenever y'all have a chance. That was crazy.
Yeah, normally we do that on Pam's show. That's Serene Divine. Okay. I co-host with her. Sometimes she comes on here with my show and co-hosts with me when my teammates are busy, because I always send out links to my teammates and offer them to come on as co-host. And some of them's got awful busy schedules, so I can understand. And sometimes it's just me, which is okay. I can handle that. That's good. Like I said, I like talking to people. I like to meet new teams and form new alliances. And like I said, I get along with everybody. And I like that, because like I said, who knows a situation that may occur that, hey, wait a minute, I talked to them before. Let's get a hold of them. Let's have a talk. Let's see if we can figure out this problem.
Yeah.
And be able to transfer information back and forth and find a solution to help the people.
The more you know, the more you grow.
Yep.
And like I said, that's like I said, the reason I like doing podcasts. I've met a lot of amazing people, including you guys. And it's always good to be able to say, hey, what's going on? You know, anything new?
Yeah.
And just have a little talk here and there once in a while, and etc.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate you guys being on the show. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having us.
And we will definitely have a round 3. And this
absolutely.
is
we look forward to it.
Yes, absolutely.
And always, guys, stay humble, be blessed always, stay spooky, and be the change that you want to see.
Yeah, most definitely. And like I said, this is Angie and Shane McLean from Outer Realm Paranormal, a great team. Got a lot of information, you know, reach out to us as well. We'll be willing to share information with anybody. And like I said, para-unity is a good thing, and to help out each other is also a good thing.
That's it.
And if you ever need a house cleansing or anything like that, we're your people.
Yep.
Yeah. It sounds good. And like I said, check them out on Outer Realm Paranormal. You can find them on Facebook. Do you guys have a YouTube page too, or a YouTube channel?
We're working towards that. You know, we started about 8 months ago, and you know, we're pushing, you know, 1,900 members in 8 months. So, you know, we're continuously growing. But, you know, our next is going to YouTube and all the other open social media outlets also.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think our page is just starting to approach 400. That's not bad for starting out just in January.
No, that's really good.
Yeah.
But, you know, I appreciate all the people that come and watch, and all the fans and everything that come and support us. And like I said, reach out to these guys. Watch these guys as well. They do some amazing stuff as well. So,
awesome.
But anyway, I will set you guys backstage, and I'm going to close out the show, and I'll chat with you here in a little bit.
All right, my man. It's good seeing you again.
All right. Yeah, thank you for coming on. I'm going to set you backstage for a few here.
All right.
Thank you.
All righty. Like I said, that was Angie and Shane McLean from Outer Realm Paranormal. Amazing team. I really like some of the stuff they talk about. They've been on Don Vick show. They've been on this show before, and this was their second round. There will be a round 3 eventually, and maybe we'll have a round table. I'll grab a few other people, and we'll have an open discussion about a little bit of everything. So definitely check out Outer Realm Paranormal. As for me, guys, I am changing up the show a little bit for Tuesday night. I have a special guest, and we're going to kind of briefly talk about a little bit of paranormal stuff that happened to her and why she kind of believes in it and how she got rid of it real quick. And then we're going to talk about her career. We're going to be meeting with Katharina Santana. She is a singer, and she's been on the Don Vick show as well. She'll actually be singing a few songs on the show as well. So we're going to kind of jump away from the paranormal just a little bit and highlight some other people out there that's got some talented stuff. So we will be talking to Katharina Santana this Tuesday night at 7 p.m. A week from today, on Sunday, we will have Bree Hollingshed from Remote Paranormal being on the show, and she will be the first-time guest. I met her at Broadhead Manor here a while ago. She does some amazing stuff and has a lot of live investigations, so we will be talking to her a week from this Sunday. So everybody, have a safe weekend, and we will see you soon. And we are out for tonight. Have a great night, guys.